Welcome to the Wedding Planning Experts podcast, hosted by Dan and Andrea DeWard, owners of Full Circle Weddings. After 25 years in the wedding industry, owning and operating multiple wedding venues, hosting hundreds of ceremonies and receptions, we provide tips to help brides and grooms plan their weddings stress-free and on budget. So let's dive in and talk about all things weddings. So, Olivia, we want to welcome you from JW Marriott. We're excited to have you here on the Wedding Planning Experts podcast.
Yes, thank you. I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah, so could you tell us a little bit about yourself and what led you to the Marriott?
So I went to Central Michigan University for event management, and I always had the plan to go to a bigger city and go work at a large venue to do conferences, conventions, corporate dinners and galas, and essentially non-wedding events. I interned at JW Marriott Grand Rapids in 2019 with the plans of, I want to be doing corporate events. Pandemic happened, and I had the opportunity to return as their wedding coordinator. Initially, I was like, I always avoided weddings all throughout college. I didn't want to be a wedding planner. Everyone would always ask me. I just want to do corporate. And honestly, looking back, I think I was so silly for running from weddings, because now that I'm in the wedding industry, weddings are truly this is my passion, and I've found what brings me joy and what is so rewarding as a career. I think it's so great that I get to work with couples to essentially bring together the best day of their lives.
The connections you make and the friendships that you gain from those is amazing.
Yes. Yeah. And I love just to get to know the family members too. Sometimes mom is involved, or close bridesmaid or friend or sister, whoever, and to be able to get to not only know the couple, but their family and the ones that are closest to them along the way is really special. I love to stay connected with my couples and to watch them go on to build a new life together, move to different cities, build a home, start a family. It's just so great.
So now, as a wedding coordinator with JW, what are the things that you handle, and what things maybe don't you handle? I'm guessing you're not really the wedding planner, because there's a difference between a planner and a coordinator.
Yes.
So share a little bit about the things that you handle in your role and other things you might delegate off.
Super important conversation that I always have with my couples, really at the tour, before they even book. I want to be very transparent of what is a venue manager, how is it different than a wedding planner, than a day of coordinator, what are those roles. My responsibilities for the wedding experience at JW is primarily going to be focused on the venue. At JW, there's a lot of wedding aspects that we are involved in, like the setup, the timeline, the catering, the bar. So by default, we're very involved in the plans, but I always have the conversation. I'm not the planner, so I'm not going to be booking your vendors. You're responsible for searching and booking and contracting your own vendors. We do provide them with a list of preferred professionals just to get them started. And I'm always happy to, offer input or further recommendations off of that. But they're responsible for handling their own vendors. If they have their own items that they want to bring into the venue and set those up, they are responsible for having someone like a day of coordinator to set those up. There are certain, small things. If it's just a few signs, or maybe they want the servers to place little favors at place settings, simple things like that, we're happy to take on. Usually it's if JW provides it, we will set it up and take care of it. But if the client or another vendor provides it, they're kind of responsible for that. And then lastly, I always talk about ceremony coordination, because that's a very important aspect of the wedding day, getting the bride, getting the couple down the aisle. And so that is another thing that I always explain that we don't handle. So having a mistress of ceremonies or day of coordinators, important for that, and to facilitate the rehearsal before the wedding and then day of too.
And that's wise, because, the officiators that are coming in and doing the ceremonies there, they might not necessarily know the best ins and outs of, okay, where is the wedding party coming from? Where are they going to recess and process and line them up and all that stuff. So I know officiators really appreciate if there's somebody there. And it's good to have that one person, not 5 people, just one dedicated person to run that rehearsal, to get them down the aisle, get them to where they need to be, then let the officiator take over.
Ceremonies from a guest perspective may seem super simple and it's just a short part of the day, but there's a lot of, timing and the music, and there's all these people that you're kind of coordinating. And although it's kind of a short part of the day, if not coordinated and executed well, guests can kind of feel that, and our couples can feel that too. And we don't want, walking down the aisles enough, you get enough emotions as is, and we just want that to be a great experience.
You take that stress off of the bride.
Yes, yes.
So can you tell us a little bit about your ballroom options as far as how many do you have? What is the capacity? And then what are the start and stop times do you normally have for your clients?
So I love the fact that our ballroom is modular. So there are 3 different sections that the ballroom can kind of section off into, which allows us to be able to host ceremony, cocktail hour, and reception all at the same place. And depending on guest count, those can be all 3 separate spaces, but also to be able to modify the size based on guest count. We have various guest counts, from 75 people up to 300 or so. We don't want the space to feel too small or too large. So we're able to section the ballroom off based on guest count. Now, we always say our maximum would be 600 for a wedding reception. I have yet to work a wedding that large. I think the highest guest count I've had is 350.
Which is good size.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yes. Today, we're seeing a lot of guest counts around 100 to 150, which I think is just a great number of guests to have. And then being able to host, multiple events within the weekend too, and just day of. Some other cultural weddings that we've been able to host have been, ceremony in the morning followed by a lunch sometimes, and guests go off site and come back for cocktail hour. So being able to have different sections of the ballroom is helpful. And we only have one ballroom at JW, so you're not having your wedding next to someone else, some other couple. That
was my next question, is if you had multiple weddings going on in a day. And I've been to venues in the DJ days, and they had a partition going down, splitting the ballroom. So there were 2 different weddings going on, and you could hear the music coming through. So if one started dancing too soon, then it was loud. And if they're still eating dinner, it was loud in the other ballroom. So that's nice that you're focused on just one wedding per day. And
I think it feels more special and more curated to that couple.
Let's talk about trends and what you're seeing in trends, micro weddings, or more intimate weddings, or ceremony and reception both. You mentioned that a little bit, so it sounds like you might be doing that also. I know there's been a big trend over the last 5+ years. Couples wanting to have their ceremony at the same place as the reception. Talk a little bit about what you see at the JW.
So definitely more intimate weddings, micro weddings. The guest lists are getting smaller, but the experiences are getting bigger, which is really exciting to see. I think couples are deciding to kind of curate their guest list to be smaller, but then that allows them to be able to splurge and maybe have more of their budget go towards making more impactful experiences. We're not seeing too many farewell brunches the next day. We've been seeing a shift to having more like a welcome reception. We're seeing a lot of that, couples having that rehearsal dinner for their wedding party and their close family and friends, but then inviting, some of those out of town guests that are maybe arriving the night before the wedding, and being able to get them together in a space that where they're kind of meeting and greeting. I think that allows couples to have more FaceTime with those guests too. Wedding days go by so quickly, and I think sometimes couples are like, I didn't even get the chance to say hi to the cousins who flew in.
Oh yeah.
So that night before is a good opportunity to host maybe an intimate gathering, to just meet up with everyone and kind of kick off the wedding weekend.
Yeah, and it sounds like what you're saying is kind of what we're hearing too. A lot of personalization, happening with couples now. They're not focused on as many people, like you said, the large numbers, more on the personalization of their wedding and guest experiences.
Yes. I love that they feel empowered not to just do things how it's always been done, but kind of asking more questions like, what are the possibilities, and, what are ideas? And I love that they're just having so much freedom to be creative in their own way.
Right. Makes it their own, puts a stamp on it.
Yes.
So when you have clients that book you for, say, just reception only, what time do they have access to the room if they want to bring stuff in?
So we're very flexible. I know some venues, they have a hard, like, this is the time you can get into the venue. I always want to allow my couple and their vendors to access the space, at a time that is reasonable based on, some weddings have more simple setup. Some weddings have huge installations that there's just more logistics involved. Everything's kind of dependent on what's happening in the space the day before. If the ballroom is empty the day before, I'll invite people to arrive, load in, maybe start setting up. But oftentimes we have an event happening the night before, which means our crew will need to flip the space overnight. I always shoot for at least 10 a.m. on wedding day to have the space ready for vendors to arrive to start setting up. So that's kind of like the start time. And then midnight is just when the party needs to end. We don't kick people out at midnight. We always just say, that's the stop time for music. The bar closes at midnight and then guests start to depart. Some venues have strict rules on everything needs to be torn down and removed from the space at the end of the night. If there's nothing going on in the venue the next day, we can take our time to, take care of everything. And if vendors want to come back on Sunday.
That's huge.
Yeah, that's really nice to have that option.
Yeah. Because that's rare too, especially when you're talking floral and decor items, because, the person handling those, whether it's the florist or the decorating company, trying to stay awake until midnight or 12:30 to get back.
Yes.
So that's nice. And 10 a.m. that's a good time to be able to get in. It gives plenty of time to get in and do setup before things get rolling.
We've had florists, where maybe their setup is more complicated or complex and they need more time. We'll always work. We'll make it happen.
Can you tell us a little bit about design trends? Like, what are you seeing as far as aesthetics?
I love this conversation. Yes, this is so fun. I will say JW was designed to have kind of a neutral color palette and design overall, but I believe every venue has their own look. And I think brides are specifically choosing certain venues based on their own aesthetic. So I feel JW, while, there's many different designs and aesthetics that can look beautiful in our space, I'm starting to see a certain theme or overall wedding aesthetic that I think just like comes to life at JW. It's kind of like the quiet luxury aesthetic. Some people might call it like old Hollywood, very classy, very black tie. We are a luxury venue, so I think that's why a lot of couples love the environment and just the atmosphere at JW. So kind of like bold colors, jewel tones, mixed materials, different textures, the chandeliers, the crystals that are kind of coming down the ceilings. We have like some mirrors along the walls too. So I think all of that kind of plays into this like old Hollywood, maybe glamour aesthetic.
The 2026 trends are falling into the jewel tones. The black and white classic look is kind of making a comeback a little bit.
Yes.
Classic black tuxedo is really making a comeback.
I love it. Yes.
And glamorous cakes, big cakes.
Yes.
I don't know if you're seeing those or not.
Yes.
Or if you're are you seeing those big cakes?
Yes. And it's something, that we've kind of, we've kind of paused and thought, okay, big cakes are back now. We actually just did a faux 5-tier cake, which in the last several years, we haven't had a request to do a faux cake. So I think, couples are looking for bringing back maybe some like older style. I think like the vintage design is coming into play, but I'm here for the big cakes. I think they're a moment in and of itself.
Yes.
And the textures, you talked about textures and patterns. A lot of that's coming back, striped linens and things even versus just
and floral patterns
right.
and just, a lot of ruching and
yes.
it's just fun to see.
Yes. I am excited to see more draping. I know that's kind of another component of design that is going to be present in next year and possibly the years following. But we've done a few events this past summer that had just beautiful draping along the ceiling. And I think it just gives kind of more of like a soft, romantic feel that just looks beautiful paired with candlelight. But then it also kind of adds like some drama too. I think like a lot of brides are loving more like dramatic looks. We've had an event where they wanted the whole sides of the venue draped. So all the walls were draped in this beautiful white velour draping that we hit with uplights. And that was a really cool look too.
That's probably stunning.
Yes, very stunning.
What about separate rooms? Are you doing, like talk about ceremony and then leading into cocktail hour and then reception? What does that flow look like typically?
So ceremony is hosted in one section of the ballroom. What's been working really well for us since the ballroom can section off into 3 different sections. Ceremony fits perfectly in one section. And then guests will leave that area. They'll go into what we call our ballroom pre-function. So it is this foyer that is outside of the ballroom, and it kind of lets out to this like windowed atrium part of the hotel filled with natural light. And then they get to enjoy a cocktail hour out in that separate space. And then when it's time for the reception, we'll open the doors to the other 2 sections of the ballroom for guests to head inside and find their seat. 2 sections of the ballroom has the capacity for 250 guests for a wedding. And so a lot of our guest counts lately are falling under that. So that's why kind of like that setup works perfect to have 3 different separate spaces for the ceremony, the cocktail hour, and the reception. We don't have to worry about flipping the space at any moment during wedding day. Everything can be set up that morning. And then your guests have 3 different areas that they're enjoying the wedding day throughout.
That's perfect.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Yeah, guests love that because they're going into a new fresh environment again, and then another fresh environment. It's an experience.
Yes, I know.
And they don't have to leave for 2 hours while you flip the room and then come back trying to find something to do.
Yes, we obviously want to take care of our couple and their family and their wedding party, but we also want the experience for the guests to be just as spectacular. And so to be able to invite guests into a new space and just to see them enjoy it and see it for the first time, we always have this doors open moment where we'll open the doors and then guests are kind of seeing their reception space for the first time. I think that's really special just to kind of have that element of surprise.
The wow factor,
Yes.
I call it. Yeah.
Yes.
So for your brides that are inquiring, where are they inquiring from? Obviously Grand Rapids, but are you getting brides from, I'm guessing, all different areas? I would think Chicago, maybe Detroit, or what does that look like?
Yes, a lot of brides are local to the Grand Rapids area. We have a lot of inquiries from Chicago as well and Detroit. And, sometimes it's the parents, kind of are based here. Maybe the family's based in Grand Rapids, but the couple themselves live in Detroit or Chicago. We've even New York or maybe a different city here in the Midwest. The story is different every time, but a lot of Chicago business, I think people are finding that they can choose Grand Rapids to be their destination wedding. They're also finding Grand Rapids as maybe a smaller city compared to Chicago or Detroit or New York, just like budget wise. I think their dollars can go farther here as well.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah. Are you finding a lot of your couples are coming, if they are not local to Grand Rapids, are they coming in for that personal walkthrough tour, which I would imagine they would, versus, FaceTime or Zoom and then if they are doing that, are you doing a lot of Zoom calls or those online conversations with them?
Yes.
Afterwards?
All of our tours are in person. I've only had a few like virtual tours where, maybe I'll meet with them on Zoom or even FaceTime during a tour. But a lot of our couples, even if they are not local, they will make the trip to come and see it in person. I think that's huge. A lot of times they'll maybe have plans to just come stay in Grand Rapids. Maybe their family is based here. So they'll kind of schedule appointments while they're in town.
And you kind of touched on the tour process, initial meeting a little bit earlier. Is there anything else that you feel like would be important for clients to know about that process?
So I always love to direct couples to our profile on the Knot because there is a virtual tour on that site.
Oh, nice.
So even as they are searching for venues, if they I think it's important to be able to just view the virtual tour, especially if you're from out of town. I know it can be tricky to kind of schedule those tours and make plans to come into town. So for them to be able to see a virtual tour before, booking an actual in-person tour is really nice to have that option. We also have a lot of photos, videos, and just general content of what does it feel like to have a wedding at JW. So for them to be able to review all of the information and just envision what weddings look like at JW is important.
I'm guessing you meet them maybe at the entrance and then walk them through. I mean, there's probably so many things to walk through, from the ballroom to, maybe you can talk about that process and how long they should maybe block out for time to do a tour. And...
Yeah. So our tours typically, we schedule them for about an hour, and I love to really get them acquainted with the hotel because, we're not just the wedding venue. We're also the overnight accommodations. We have a restaurant on site. We have a spa. There's wonderful amenities that our couples can enjoy throughout the wedding weekend. So I want them to see JW from multiple aspects and how they really what they can experience on their wedding weekend, not just at the venue. So we validate their parking upon arrival. They meet with me in the front desk lobby, and we do some getting to know each other, some introductions. I take them to go see a couple of rooms. So we'll take a look at a suite. We'll talk about getting ready spaces. I'll take a look at, some standard guest rooms where their guests would stay. And then we'll make our way to our wellness floor, which is where the Serafina Spa is located, as well as the pool and the fitness center, and talk about those amenities. And then we will finish at the venue, so at the ballroom, and we'll go through all of the major wedding details, like what is provided by the venue. And then I always love to end my tours with a little bit of champagne. So we'll find a little, we'll find a little
Nice
spot.
touch.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And just to sit down and go over any questions they have. What do next steps look like? Is there a date that they want to hold? I'll start getting information to provide a custom quote, and we'll just have a time at the end to kind of wrap up our conversation over champagne.
That's a nice touch. How about, let's talk, you tapped on it a little bit, but the bridal suite. So that's a big component for them.
Absolutely.
I'm guessing you might have a couple different options for them to choose in a bridal suite, and then maybe talk about where they're getting, unless they can do it in the suite, their hair and their makeup done. How does that look?
We have a few different options as far as getting ready spaces, bridal suites, even, the guys always need a space to gather as well. So we have 2 hospitality suites in the hotel and 15 standard suites. So our hospitality suites are perfect for hosting, kind of a small group, such as a wedding party. And so I always lead with those options as an area for the bride and her bridesmaids to get ready in. They're a little bit larger than our standard suite. They just have more room to, have like some brunch, and to have multiple bathrooms, multiple mirrors for all the ladies to get ready. So the hospitality suites are perfect for getting ready the morning of. We do always include a complimentary room that is near the ballroom. So on the second floor, kind of down the hall from the ballroom, we always include this side room that the wedding party can use. So sometimes the bride will get ready in that space, or the grooms will use it as their gathering space. And for our weddings where they're having an off-site ceremony, we see that sometimes they'll get ready at the ceremony, and then when they arrive to JW, they'll use that side room as just the VIP room where the wedding party can store their own belongings. If the bride has an outfit change, she needs to touch up her hair and makeup. And honestly, it's just a great spot to kind of enjoy a private moment. I think sometimes the wedding day can go by and the couple is being pulled various directions. So to have a space that they can retreat and just take a breath and enjoy, if it's just 10 minutes together, that's a really great spot for them to do so.
We always talk to our guys. It's good for them to leave throughout their timeline, throughout the course of the day, those moments like you just mentioned. It's really important to leave those so they can sit back and just absorb and look and, take everything in.
Right.
Because it does move so quick.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm guessing those bridal suites, the larger ones, they probably have big, beautiful windows for good natural lighting coming in, which is great for hair and makeup, number one.
Right.
But it's also really good for photo and video.
Oh, yes. Yeah. In our hospitality suites, what's nice is that there is there's kind of a separate bedroom that can be closed off. So the bride can kind of go into the bedroom and get her gown on, and then she can come back into, the main gathering space and have that moment with her bridesmaids. And yes, a lot of natural light, big, beautiful windows, not to mention like just gorgeous views of Grand Rapids. We just renovated all of our guest rooms and suites this year. So everything is freshly redone with new furniture. We were very intentional about how we want to design these suites in a way where these wedding parties are comfortable and they have all that they would need on, the morning of a big day as a wedding day.
So as far as taste testing, brides and grooms, they might want certain things and have certain styles they like. So how do you structure the taste testing, and do they get to meet the chef in-house?
Yes. We will have an opportunity to start planning the menu before the menu tasting takes place. As mentioned, I'll always invite our couples in for a planning meeting about 6 months before the wedding. So that's the opportunity to understand, what is their vision when it comes to the menu? What's the experience they want to give their guests? And so at the planning meeting, that appointment, I kind of understand what are they envisioning, what are their likes and dislikes when it comes to the menu, and then we'll kind of curate that into the menu tasting and kind of go more into detail of what they're envisioning. All of our couples get to meet our executive chef and our pastry chef during the wedding tasting. We invite them in. That's a private tasting that the couple gets to bring 2 guests to, and it's all complimentary. And we go through kind of the whole menu. So they get to taste starters, the main entrees, desserts, appetizers. We'll even pair wines based on what the entrees are, and if there's specialty cocktails that they're interested in.
What about specialty, vegan or gluten-free or allergies? I'm guessing you cover all that, or your chef does?
Absolutely. Yes. We know we have to be accommodating to all different dietary restrictions. It's just the reality of today that everyone has different restrictions and different allergies, and we want to ensure all of our guests that are attending the wedding that they are satisfied and that they are taken care of. That's always something that gets brought up during the menu tasting of how do we accommodate those guests. Wedding websites are a great tool that you can collect all of those details. And then as long as my couples send me kind of what those restrictions are when their final count is due, we take it from there. We make sure every guest has their modified meal or their special meal if it's vegan, if it is nut-free, or whatever their specific restriction is, we'll take care of that.
Are you finding most at the JW are doing buffet, plated, food stations? What are you seeing since it's in-house?
Yes.
It's not an outside caterer.
Right. And we have so many different options and packages. Most of our weddings do plated dinners. I think that just goes along with the experience of the venue kind of being more formal and more of a luxury experience to just have your food be brought to you versus buffet. But we absolutely have still buffet packages, and we have options to do family style and even just food stations around the room. So while we have these packages that we offer, they're kind of just a starting point, and then we will customize the package, or sometimes we'll just do something entirely custom. And we love being able to see catering and food and beverage as experiences for guests to enjoy on the wedding day.
A lot of really good options.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
And
really
I'm not
nice.
surprised, honestly, at the JW. Out in the mobile world, at most venues, buffet is the most popular. Most people are doing buffet. But because of your venue, in-house, you have the space to accommodate and the staff to accommodate the plated dinners, which does give you a
Right.
more formal look. I'm not surprised that you see a lot of plated
Yeah.
with your receptions.
I think it just elevates the dinner service as well. It allows guests to connect at their tables and just share that quality time versus getting up and going and getting their meal. And I can see, the pros and the cons to all of the different dinner service styles, but I think plated just has like a nice formal elevated experience to it. We've even done what is called an intermezzo course. We love intermezzo courses because it is a course that is served in between the first course and then the main entree. So it is like a palate cleansing course. And that is always something special and just unexpected that guests don't always get to experience at weddings.
I like that.
Oh, nice.
That fits your venue style,
Yeah,
though.
absolutely.
Definitely. So now I'm assuming you're providing the tables, the chairs. Do you provide the linens for the tables?
All the tables, chairs, linens are provided. We have round tables, rectangles, tables. We have the dance floor that is included, staging, all of the china, flatware, glassware. So most everything is included. As far as linens go, we have white linen. So it's just one color option. We don't have multiple colors. We will always refer them to one of our rental companies that we partner with often for more options and colors.
Yeah, that's a lot of linens to house if you were providing all the
Right.
different colors.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
and white's great. It goes with everything.
Yeah, of course.
And it takes a lot of the checklist items off a bride, off her checklist of things she has to take care of if you're providing all that in-house.
Right. I think that's what a lot of couples are finding when, they inquire at JW and they see how much we provide and take care of for them. It's one less vendor, one less contract, one less, invoice to deal with after the wedding for them to be able to go to a venue that provides all of the setup and the catering and, the desserts and the bar service. And, we even have audio visual equipment that they can rent as well. And then for their guests to just be able to stay on site and for the couple to be able to stay on site and get ready in the morning. It's kind of like almost all inclusive that they're getting so many services at one venue.
But they can pick other services on their own. I mean, you have a preferred list, but if they have a special photographer or videographer or florist or DJ or band,
Oh, yes.
they can bring those people in.
They are free to select their own vendors. The only restriction is JW is required to do the catering and the bar, and that includes the wedding cake. We have our own dedicated bake shop and pastry chef who is phenomenal at cakes and other desserts, and she's done such a wide variety of different desserts and wedding sweet treats.
So let's talk about room blocks for the guest. I mean, the guests they're all coming in. I mean, they might be local, Grand Rapids, but and even if they are Grand Rapids, they might want to have the whole weekend event and stay on site and have fun and just go right back to the room afterwards. So how do the room blocks work?
So all of our wedding room blocks are courtesy blocks, which means there's no financial obligation for the couple. So I always, advise my couples kind of go through your guest list, determine, how many rooms you might need per night for the wedding weekend. And then we take that information to determine their rate. And then we will block all of those rooms. And then they get their own special booking link that usually they'll put like on the wedding website. They can put it in their invites as well for guests to make their own reservations. And then usually that booking link closes about a month before the wedding. So any rooms that they maybe were holding that didn't get booked just get released. So it's a very easy process for couples to set up a room block. They essentially are hands off. Their guests make their own reservations and it costs nothing to the couple.
That's nice. They're not obligated to pay for these rooms that might not
Yes.
get used.
Yes.
What if they need more rooms?
Yes, and sometimes their block books up, and so we will always try to accommodate that as needed. If we have more rooms available and kind of our occupancy rates allows us to, we will add more rooms on, absolutely, if they need that.
How about guest parking?
Yes.
Is it
Right.
a ramp or where are they parking? How's that work?
Right. Yes. Parking can always be an issue in downtown Grand Rapids. Fortunately, we have our own parking ramp that is connected to the JW, so very close. You don't have to like walk blocks down the road from the parking ramp to get to the venue. And then we have valet as well. So for our weddings, we offer a special rate for guests that are attending just for the wedding. If they're parking overnight, of course, that will get applied to their overnight room. But we do offer a special rate for all of our wedding guests.
Nice. And valet is a nice touch.
Absolutely, yes. A valet is something that is, I think, huge, especially when you're looking to curate a formal wedding that is more of that black tie experience. It's nice to just show up, not have to, manage parking, that your guests just have the option to valet.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
With all of this that we've been covering, how are you helping a bride find their core identity and stay within their budget realities?
Yeah, that's a great question. As we were talking, earlier about how couples are really personalizing their wedding to who they are as a couple and how can their wedding reflect their personality and their relationship. I think it's really important for couples to kind of set kind of a foundation which they'll build off of as they're making all of these decisions and wedding plans. And so I love to be able to truly get to know my couples during the tour. I'll like to ask questions just to get to know them, and whether they book with JW or not, that's a really great opportunity for me to get to know their story and what is important to them and what are they envisioning when they see themselves on their wedding day, and just to kind of learn more of their likes, their dislikes. And so that really gives me a better look into what they're looking for so that I can kind of make recommendations, guide them along the way. Couples, when they're planning their wedding, most of the time they never planned a wedding and they don't know how to plan an event, and it can be very daunting. And so that's why I really like to partner with them and work alongside them to make their plans come to life and to let them know what are the possibilities. Maybe they have this specific dream or vision, but they don't know how to execute it. So that's kind of where I partner with them and see how can we really make this happen.
And you're seeing them on the front end. I mean, when they're booking the venues, that's one of the first things that they're looking at. And a lot of times they're coming into venues and they're touring it, and they don't really know exactly, they just want to see venues and they don't really know what direction they're going. So having somebody like yourself to help guide them.
Yes.
And talk about, okay, how many people are we working with? Let's start there.
Yes.
And guide them through the process of building that identity for their wedding.
Absolutely. Some couples just need more assistance and more guidance. I always like to give as much or as little advice as my couples want. I never want to overwhelm them with options. But some couples, they do need more help and they need more assistance and guidance. And so I love to be able to just curate that planning experience and let them know that ultimately I will take care of them. They're in good hands. I like to bring kind of a calming energy to their planning experience, and I really want them to just enjoy their time. Wedding planning can be so stressful. So I'm always looking for opportunities to make it enjoyable and just put them at ease.
And you have that calming demeanor about you as I've gotten to know you a little bit. So I can see you being successful in that area. And when you're talking about budgets too, keeping them focused and targeted on their budget if they have a specific budget, so they stay within their means.
I'm glad you brought that up too. Obviously, as we're talking about dreams and aspirations, it's always important for the couples to know clearly what is this going to cost, and to be able to see, a couple different options. If we went with this idea, what is that going to cost? Sometimes going more custom means more coordination and just more logistics. So it's really important as we're kind of going through the wedding plans that they understand what is the cost. would be my worst fear is, at the end of the wedding, you get this surprise bill. We want to be transparent in all of, the wedding plans.
I'm glad that you actually brought that up and said that, because a lot of the feedback we would get from couples, or even in the social world, they will talk about, hey, I got hit with this bill I had no idea I would have to pay for.
Right.
And it was last minute. It was unexpected. They didn't have in the budget. So I'm glad you walked them through that on the front end, so there's no surprises a month before the wedding.
And sometimes there can be, these certain fees that kind of sneak into quotes. It's important to kind of see, like, out the door, what would this wedding cost? And I never want to have any surprising fees that sneak their way in.
Do you have like like the most memorable wedding you've hosted there?
There is a couple that I had the opportunity to work with September of 2024, and I'll always remember them. They were the most genuine, sweetest, kind people that I think I just remember seeing them enjoy their wedding day and really embrace their friends and family. And I remember a specific moment during dinner service. They're sitting at their sweetheart table and they're just looking around the room and truly taking it in and just soaking in that moment to see all of their close friends and family gathered in one place. And they were just such a joy to work with. I would see how they would interact with other vendors. Not only did they take care of their guests in their wedding party, but they really took care of their vendors and made everyone feel special. And so I think weddings like that, where you really feel just a sense of love and joy, is just so special to be a part of.
And respecting everybody, because there's been times that as a vendor in photo, video, DJs, whatever I did over the years, some venues would put you in a different room, whether it's during dinner or whatever. And that doesn't really work well for vendors, because I don't want to miss anything. If I have to capture some photo or some video or cake cutting, I don't want to miss anything. So a lot of times I just wouldn't go. I'd stay in the room, even if it meant I didn't eat dinner.
Yes.
But that's fine. I love hearing you say that. And it's so good for brides and grooms to remember the vendors also, because they're putting a full day in there. And
absolutely.
So.
I think one of the most flattering compliments I could always get is if a couple wants to take a picture with me. Obviously, I know the wedding day is not about me, and I try to stay very behind the scenes, out of the way, but I've had a few couples that are like, can I get a picture with you? What a great way to just feel love from your own clients, that they had such a wonderful experience with you, that they want to capture that moment with you
and want to remember you.
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah.
That says a lot for you. Yeah. What's one piece of advice you would want to give every bride out there?
Hire the day of coordinator. As we talked earlier, the JW, we're very involved on the wedding day in many aspects, but we are ultimately not the day of coordinator. We're not the wedding planner. And so I've really been encouraging my brides to book a day of coordinator, work it into the budget, and a professional day of coordinator too. I think some couples will try to, find a cousin or a coworker or a friend that could be the day of coordinator. But ultimately, if you haven't worked a wedding, you just don't know what to anticipate. So I think it's so important that couples book a professional day of coordinator to carry out the plans. The day goes by so quickly, and the couple should not be having to, deal with any issues or setting things up on the wedding day. I think it's so important for them to just be in the moment and be hands off. So to have that day of coordinator that will take care of everything for them, they're kind of the glue that keeps all the other vendors together, and just be that extra set of hands to really take care of the couple and their wedding party and all their vendors is so important. It's always my biggest piece of advice.
I got to second that. I truly do, because it is a huge piece of the pie.
Yes. And, some of our couples, they choose not to hire a day of coordinator. And so when you don't have a day of contact, ultimately it's going to be the couple that the vendors will, ask questions with. And I never want to, be bugging my couples on the wedding day. I love to check in with them, of course, but if there is a question or if there is something that needs to be dealt with, we don't want to go to the couple and be asking those questions. We want to go to the dedicated, coordinator or whoever the contact is to be able to handle, anything that may pop up. As, wedding days, you never know what you could be walking into. So it's just good to have someone that can just take care of everything for you.
It's been wonderful talking to you, and anybody out there listening that's interested in meeting you and touring the JW, what's the best way for them to reach you or connect with you?
Yes. A lot of our inquiries are coming through the Knot, and I always direct couples to go to the Knot first to be able to look at that virtual tour, to look at content of weddings at JW, and then they can inquire right on the Knot. Of course, we have our contact information as well, so they can also call the hotel and they will get redirected to me to kind of start that inquiry process. So those are kind of the main methods of contacting.
Well, Olivia, thank you for sharing what you offer to brides and what the JW offers. We really appreciate it. And I hope this helps brides out there.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Thank you for listening to the Wedding Planning Experts podcast. If you're listening on an audio platform, you may also view the video podcast at weddingplanningexperts.com.